G'day virtual pilots, welcome to this training presentation of the VATSAF PTD. We have now started another new series for all IFR and VFR pilots, which will cover aerodrome charts for South Africa as published by the SACAA. These presentations need to be observed in conjunction with the article in the VATSAF PTD Forum, as this will assist in addressing and identifying all the abbreviations linked to this chart. The link is in the description area below. Today we will discuss the first of aerodrome charts available for pilots. Others will follow shortly, and after this series you would be able to identify information on aerodrome directories, SIDs or standard instrument departures, STARS, standard instrument arrival or terminal arrivals, instrument approaches like VOR approaches, ILS approach procedures, and ILS missed approach procedures. We will cover some detailed technical information, but we need to do so for us to understand where this information is derived from and what it is based on. Most of this information covered will be rendered by your simulator to keep your virtual experience as real as possible. Please note that these charts are real-world operational charts, and not all information displayed on these charts is usable within your simulator. We are currently situated at Cape Town Airport, and we've taken the aerodrome chart for this specific airport. Let's start with the information, and we will move down from the top. The first information you will see is the GPS coordinates for this airport, and these are determined by a specific location on the airport. This is normally marked by a circle with a cross through it. The next section will be the airport elevation, and this will be the elevation above mean sea level. This airport sits at 151 feet. The next section will contain all the frequencies available to pilots on the ground. The first one of this is the Cape Town ATIS on 127.00. The second frequency is your apron services frequency 122.65, which in your simulator is not being used, but apron services coordinates all loading, unloading of aircraft as well as catering services, and they coordinate these between all the different aircraft and the services which is rendered by the airport. SMC, which is surface movement control, that is the normal Cape Town ground frequency 121.90. And then we have tower on 118.10, and that is for your departure clearance. Here you will have the airport name, which is Cape Town International, and the ICAO code for this airport, which is Foxtrot Alpha Charlie Tango. The next section will be your magnetic variation from true north to magnetic north, which in this case is 25 degrees west. The next section is the caution or the pilot information section, and this will depict any information which is important for the pilot to know. The runway lighting section will contain all the available runway lighting for the different runways. Runway 01, runway 19, runway 16, and runway 34. It will give you your runway approach lighting systems, which in this case is a PulseCat 2 on runway 01 and runway 19. 16 and 34 has nothing. The next section will show you what type of approach lighting systems are available. In this case it's PAPI lights, that's your precision approach path indication lights, and the degrees of your approach path or glide slope for the different runways. It may also depict the position of these lights, like in runway 16. The 3 degrees will be on the left hand side of the runway, and on runway 34 it will be also on the left hand side. Other lighting systems available is your runway end lights, runway threshold lights, and landing zone lights if any is applicable. This section contains all the runway details. You will see runway 01, it will depict the direction, which is true. Now to convert from true to magnetic, you need, if it's a west variation, you need to add. If it's an east variation, you need to subtract to get the magnetic variation. You'll also see your threshold coordinates, your threshold elevation, and then some physical runway statistics on your total runway available, total distance available, landing distance available, clearways and stopways, and so forth. Also on your surfaces, also on the slopes, whether it's an upslope or a downslope. The bearing strength, which is not really used in simulation, but in the real world it can be quite of use, that you don't put a big aircraft down on a runway which cannot handle the weight of that aircraft. And then obviously lastly you have all your circuit procedures. Runway 19 has got a left-hand circuit, runway 01s also have a left-hand circuit. These might change depending on traffic circumstances, so ATC might instruct you to fly a different circuit than it is published on the map. The next section is just an overview of the runway length and width. You will see runway 01190 is 3,201 meters by 61 meters wide, and that runway 16 and 34 is 1,701 meters long and 46 meters wide. Next section we're covering in this airport or aerodrome directory is the taxiways. You will see that the taxiways are numbered on this chart. Alpha 2, Alpha 1, it'll show you the aprons, Alpha Bravo, also the apron Charlie, Foxtrot, as well as Sierra. Here you will see the localizer frequency for the ILS approach for runway 01. Note that localizer sits opposite ways of the runway, which means that runway 01, as depicted in this case, sits just past the threshold of runway 19. Localizers is to guide the aircraft onto the center line of the runway. The ILS glide path or glide slope, as other maps might refer to, or other charts might refer to, work in conjunction with the localizer, and will make sure that you descend down onto the ILS or onto the runway, and they are designed to make sure that you don't hit any funny obstructions in the glide path. Here we have the VOR frequency for Cape Town. You will see that it also has a Morse code next to the bold CTV letters. That's to identify from the Morse code when you tune onto your Nav1 radio that you do have the correct frequency and the correct VOR in place. It will also show you the altitude of the VOR, which sits at 146 feet. That's on the bottom part of the box. And it will also give you the GPS coordinates of where this VOR is located. Other information here we can see is your windsocks. This chart indicates more or less the position of where all the windsocks are situated on this airport. If we scroll down, we'll find another windsock down here at runway 01. As with runway 01, you will also have the ILS localizer positioned over here for runway 19. Other interesting information will be the width of your taxiways. That's quite important to know. We've had an instance a couple of years back at Johannesburg International, Oliver Tambo, where a big 747 Boeing taxied onto the wrong taxiway, and actually his right wing struck a building. It's very important for pilots to know what the width of the taxiways are, so that you don't go and taxi on a 10-meter wide taxiway with your 744 aircraft. The next chart we will briefly cover will be your aircraft parking and docking chart. Not all airports have aircraft parking and docking charts. However, all the major airports in South Africa do have them. And you will see here's a list of all your stands, the latitude and the longitudes, as well as a little map showing exactly where these parking bays are. Very important in real world operation is the notes that is normally displayed on these aircraft parking and docking charts. And you'll see that parking A3 to A17 is equipped with ADS. ADS is an automatic dependent surveillance system, which most modern aircraft and also ATC services are equipped with, so they can accurately monitor aircraft movement and positioning, as well as aircraft can monitor other aircraft movement and positioning. Most large airports also have aerodrome ground movement charts, which is less clustered than the normal aerodrome directory charts. Also depicting all the relevant information required by the pilot to understand what his ground movements will be for taking off, and also what it will be for after landing. Pilots, this shortly concludes aerodrome charts in terms of ground movement, parking bays, and airport layout. As you can see, there's the web address for the SACAA's website. To get hold of these charts, you can go to Information Industry for Industry, Aeronautical Information. Here you will have an array of options which you can select depending on the information that you are looking for. But normally we will be going to aeronautical charts, and these are your major airports that are listed, for which there are aerodrome directories available. If you open up Cape Town, you will see an array of different documentation available, from aerodrome charts to restricted visibility charts, standard arrival charts, as well as standard departure charts. These we will cover in our next presentation. If you like this video, click on the subscribe button. Click on the bell to be notified of any new updates, and thank you for watching. Enjoy the flying, captains.